next from the little bucket?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, I know. He's over here. I'm just eyeing
want
guys.
to
dying too, so just let him go.
I would probably do lizard or Spock, so you lose. But
I feel like it's
that's
gonna
all
be
right.
paper.
What is the downside to an agent packaging a rental that is either vacant or has tenants with the customer's auto and home?
First thing that comes to mind for me is it's trying to fit a round peg through a square hole. You know, that carrier that writes your standard home and standard auto, they may not specialize in landlord properties or vacant properties. So what they're offering you is still an option, but it's not the option that's best for that customer. So by trying to package it, it's like, great, it's going to fit, but there's going to be gaps in the corner. You know, that round peg doesn't have corners, so there are gaps in coverage there, and that's very similar to what will happen with those policies. That's probably one of the biggest disadvantages that I can think of.
I would agree.
Well, I think you were even talking about, right, how I think, Troy, you might have even said it, some places don't even have the vacant,
Right.
write the vacant. So,
Yeah.
that would be difficult if you do package and then you need to go over to vacant and then it's like, oh, well, we actually don't even offer that.
Right.
So then you're kind of in a little bit of trouble there.
Yep, exactly. Or, well, they don't have a vacant, but we'll keep it on this policy. And then we already talked earlier about big coverage limitations when that happens. Payout limitations, all of that is huge. So.
And I'm sure those other carriers aren't having that conversation about the vacant, just kind of how we've talked about a lot of these different vacant situations and things that can happen. They're probably not even having that conversation. So there are customers out there who could be sitting there without any real coverage on their vacant, and they don't even know it.
Right, right, absolutely. And we don't care if we have the standalone vacant. We don't require that we also write your primary, that we also write this. We're okay saying, hey, that vacant home is the only thing we have for this customer, and we're okay with that. So.
And that's one of the biggest selling features of Foremost, is the fact that we are a specialty carrier. And so what that means is at the end of the day, we're here to write policies for products that do not fit cleanly under a standard home or a standard auto policy. And to a point that you made just a few moments ago, you said some of those other carriers may not really be too focused on the vacant side of things. Their core competency is going to be on that home and auto. Well, you're not going to go to an optometrist if you're having issues with your heart. That's not what they focus on. That's not what they studied in. So for us, that's what we do. That's what we see every single day. That's what our claim adjusters are trained in. That's what our underwriters are trained in, versus someone that's trained in, okay, well, how do I adjust a claim on a standard home policy? Well, it's not the same.
And I think as a consumer, that just kind of brings it full circle for me. If I'm ever trying, or maybe even as an agent to a customer, reversing it, if I'm ever trying to win out in the price battle, that's the way you do it. The price is different. Explain to me why, because I'm giving you the coverage that's right for the risk that you have.
Right.
And I think it's huge that we can offer that for all these little niches, especially the vacant. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially if it's like, hey, it's cheaper over here, but also they don't cover it vacant, so you're going to be paying, and there's potential that damages happen and you aren't even covered for it. So
or
what's really the
that,
point of
that
paying
decrease in coverage if your house burns, that $100,000 to $60,000? That's enough for me to pay an extra $100 a year just in case something happens.
Right,
That's worth
exactly.
it. Just explain it to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.